tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss. Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
But a nice roll through from Peyton. He's just going to solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lures, you're going to be able to find these shots true.
Inu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes the Nabla immediately to back and finds skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Welcome on in, everybody. We've got another lovely match here in the mid-season madness, the gift that keeps on giving. This time today, we're in the EU PC Open tier with a semi-final matchup between the Flock and Moths. I am Megalast. I've got Naya by my side. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. We got the Moths, which are 4-0 coming up into this. Mid-season has been interesting for both of the teams, but you know, the thing that's going to be even more interesting is the Flock here. They had a rough season going up into the mid-season. The record stands on the 2-2 record point. So looking at it, an early prediction here from me at least, I think Moths, if they run a really, you know, hybrid composition, if they go up in aggressively, they're going to easily take this.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than favorable for them right now, but we are in the semifinals, so both these teams at least have to get one of those wins to get here in the Flock. Like you said, coming in 2-2, but they'd get that upset over EMC Chimera in their first round here, and they know certainly what could be on the line. An extra win in the column could be just the ticket for them, but yeah, it is just going to be an interesting low matchup here, obviously. On the other side of the bracket, we actually have that other match going right now on CGL2. So all of the EU amazing action going for you here today. We actually have the schedule. Wow, look at this. It's amazing. So you have the Flock and Moss, and like we said, Bomb FC and 0907 happening right over on the other channel. So switch back and forth between them. You get all of the action. And later on tonight, we got an NA Diamond patch between Cuddle Puddle and Death Blossom. You certainly don't want to miss it.
Yeah, it definitely should be exciting. Even the match that's going on right now up on our other CGL channel, definitely tune into that. We got a dominant tank competition up on the other side, but we have these two teams here, right? We got the Flock and the Moths. So you're looking at this bracket. You got the Moths that 3-0'd Strix Esports, but you look at the Flock, which took a 3-0 as well. So both teams coming up into this bracket, you know, round 2 here, winners round 2. They're looking pretty strong, but the thing I worry about the Flock here is they had a rough, you know, season getting up in. So can they sustain against the Moths, which have been proficient? Who knows? It's going to be interesting to tell.
Exactly. That's super, super interesting. But interesting as well to know all of the matches so far have been 3-0s. So we'll have to see if any of these teams remaining can change that destiny. But getting on into the matchup, of course, hero bans, they've been the name of the game. They've been helping to find some of the strategies that teams have been sort of building their team around. Of course, here, you know, Mauga becoming a pretty heavy prevalence in the meta again. But if teams want to opt out of it, they might have to just go with that ban early on, especially on these control points that can make all the difference.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you here. If they don't target the Malga, they're probably going to play the Malga. That's what the pro teams are running right now. But you look at the tanks that they could ban from. I know teams still like to manage with Hazard sometimes and Malga, but looking at the other side, it's going to be a support, so no tank.
Yeah, so it will be the Brig ban. So, we're potentially removing the option for Brig Ana or Brig Juno backlines. We have seen quite a bit of the Brig Juno, especially the past few days, just because, again, very survivable, very sturdy. But now the favorite bodyguard of Juno and Ana alike is going to be removed, at least for our first map here. And now that's going to flip the ban over to our other side of things with the Moths. And honestly, they really could go anywhere, right? Now that you've kind of taken out a key part of the composition, we're going to be expecting like Lucio Kiri backlines, and there's a lot of things that can work with that. So we'll have to see if this is maybe more of a targeted ban, something that Moths don't want to deal with, or overall just something, they just are like, hey, let's ban this today.
Yeah, it could either be a dive or brawl tank. That's what I'm kind of seeing here. Winston could be taken out of the question. Malga could have been taken out of the question. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a tank, involving with the rush that was also taken out. So you got 3 variety choices there up on the tank rolls. But damage-wise, you could go off with a Sojourn pick or even a Tracer here. Taking that out would be very, very smart to do. But yeah, it's gonna be a little interesting here, Mega, but yeah, who knows what they're gonna pick?
Yeah, it'd be sort of the time will tell situation here. Having a bit of a technical snafu, trying to see if some stuff on the back end it can get sorted. You know how it is. Sometimes you just gotta punch the TV a time or two to get those staticky bars out of the way, whatever it may be. Might be dating myself with stuff like that, but hey, listen, I'm old. Deal with it. And so yeah, I mean beyond that, right? Since we're going to be going into control first, I believe I don't actually remember what the percent map.
Oasis.
Oasis. To start us off here, so potentially, you are more than likely to see Malga, especially down in the I always call it a library. It's not library. It's university. But then when you move to these more outdoor points with high ground. Now, do you think that maybe there's an opportunity to potentially go over some dive compositions?
Yeah, dive compositions could be definitely ran here. Even if flyers in those dive comps, you could possibly see an Echo or even a Vera come out of play for both of the teams. But, I wonder what both of the teams are going to run out, because if they've been tuning in to the proceeds, right? You look at the pro teams and you look at the teams under those teams, they admire those teams, right? So it's going to be interesting to see if they run the same compositions or if they cook up their own compositions heading up into this.
Yeah, as we are just on, the ramble spree right now. This game will start eventually, we promise. It just, sometimes things happen. First thing was people maybe not being on the correct accounts that they were supposed to be. This is a friendly reminder to all CGL players out there. Make sure you play on the right account. We know you have like 18 alt accounts because you think this will be the one that'll get you champion, but trust me, it won't be. But yeah, overall, it's just sort of just waiting to see how this is going to eventually start here. But I don't know. In the meantime, we just we're here. Chilling.
Yeah, we are chilling here up on this CGL broadcast. Something in question for both of us here as casters, right? I know that I've covered the flock over, a couple games with, a fantastic caster, Geo. Shout out to you, which is doing the other cast with Specs. Wonderful stuff. But yeah, the flock, it's interesting. They have the key players to do what they need to do. It's gonna be intriguing to watch because can they prioritize in those situations of those compositions? If they don't, Mega, it's gonna be, a flip-flop battle where it could just go 50-50. But you could also see this flock team go back-to-back with the Moths, which are a 4-0 dominant team. They have been doing a fantastic job through Face It as well. So they got even more extra competition. So something to say is this one definitely shouldn't be out of the question, but both of the teams here are still going to be battling it out.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, though, in terms of those records, right, the Fox, you know, on the other side of that coin with the 2-2, but they've already triumphed over EMC Chimera, which proves that they're willing to try to take it to some of these teams that, at least for the time being, are more successful in them, and to be able to sort of go match by match and, you know, potentially play to the level of your opponent. It can be most certainly a blessing and a curse, because it can really let you be a sneaky challenge for some of these top teams that are so used to rolling over people. But on the other side of things, when every single match starts to be a bit of a slugfest back and forth, it makes everything just a little bit more complicated. But seems as though the sigh of relief is heard. Hero bands are going to be back on your screen. We thank you for being with us through that technical snafu. And overall, we're now just simply waiting to see what the official thing is. Da-da-da. It is Tracer.
Tracer. Okay, so taking out a pulse, you know, no blinks that you gotta worry about. Yeah, this these two bans should definitely affect the game here for Oasis. We could just be able to see more brawl over dive here, depending upon the map type. I would love to see Malga, but I know Malga comp is boring sometimes, right? You know, people do tend to hate that. But yeah, I think it would be cool to see what these teams could bring out here. But let's talk about these lineups.
The lineups indeed. Phlox starting us off here. You have Nixo, Indra on that DPS line, Terry on that tank, and then Izuya and DBRX on those supports here. And, you know, I appreciate the Mercy hover. Sure, could you play Mercy? It's possible. I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible, but there are certainly better support options that you can lean into.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's take a look at the Moths here. They're coming up in pretty strong here with their Face It and even their CGL. But let's take a look at this DPS line. We got two fantastic players. We got Grimlock, Ivashishol up on the DPS. But you look at the tank and support. Talking about the support, you got Juno and Jazzy. But up on tank, you got Okais. So that should be pretty interesting and predictable to see what the Moths could do here against the undetermined and maybe could just go on the Flock. Let's see if their wings fly. I really want to see what happens here up in this series.
Yeah, see if their wings can fly, especially on that first map of Oasis, like we said. Now, depending on the sub map here is where we can see some certain compositions come out, right? We talked about in University always being more of the brawl-centric comps. That sort of means that your Malgas and things are going to come out to play there. But you know, when you're moving over to the city center and things like that, you do have those options of those high ground points where you can sort of elevate yourself and try to take and hold them with dives or different kind of hit scan potential. But it does seem like we are starting on, I want to say this one's called Garden. That sounds right. There's like 8 sub points on the map, all called Garden, by the way. So this is not, like, this is an Overwatch issue. Maybe we need to name something not Garden for once.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks, you know, floral. You got the, you know, bushes, the flowers, all that stuff. But the thing that's going to be interesting here is what these teams are running. It seems to be that they're going to be running out, one of them at least, the Flocks. They are going to be using that RAM, but as well, the Moths doing that too. So if you're both of the teams here, Mega, you're going to definitely play this bridge, and it's going to be the battle of the top.
Battle up top, like you said, the only difference in compositions right now is the Baptiste versus the Kiriko. Kiriko allows you to play a little bit faster. When do things like that, already found one onto Izuyu, it's traded back though onto the Sojourn on the other side, so a 4v4 engagement, but missing a support, and also it's your speed engage for the Flock here. It makes things go from bad to worse, and Swines, like you saw, caught out there. Now it's going to be the rest of Moths simply encircling their opponents, realizing their days are numbered. This Baptiste is going to be the next one to fall thanks to a healthy deflect. And just like that, Moss will be able to secure the point first.
Yeah, Moths looking good here up in this introduction, but if you're the Flock, you could definitely still change this tempo up. You just got to get back to this high ground immediately. But if you're looking at the Moths, right, they have Juno up on this Kiri, which could just Suzu opportunity as those Swines going up in with that ability. So let's see what the Moths could do here, especially when they're up on this high ground.
Let's see what they can do indeed. Now they've finally been able to take it, and they do get that early kill onto Juno, so they trade it out on the other side, focusing that Kiriko. Nixo again, though, down early in the fight. This is already not a good start for your Sojourn player. 4v4 situation, but again, missing that Kiriko, that main source of healing, means DBRX has to be the next kill, and they do actually manage to find that one now. Turning the tides already is Moss, who now has a number advantage, trying to chase down this Lucio, but unfortunately the speed boost is going to be enough for the rest of the team to be able to kite for the time being.
Yeah, Moths looking good here, building up this Nile as we get to see, but as well this Kitsune Rush, but you're also going to have these two other ultimates, right, that you could use. But yeah, if you're the Flock here, you still got ultimates to build. You're going to have a Window, possibly this Beat Matrix, and even Indra's ultimate. So depending upon how they position this, they could have a good battle.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe a little bit too deep is Izuya, thinking they could get the kill onto the Genji, but it just seems like the Genji was ready for it. Now it's going to be another one onto another Genji, actually. Dax is going to be able to find that kill here. So Moth, again, firmly in control and heading towards final fight.
Yep, Moths looking good here. 4 ultimates up in that bank. They are running over the Flock right now, up in that percentage. I wouldn't be surprised if the Moths would just apply this pressure even more.
Down Bear is out now. DBRX already missing from the fight, so that main source of healing. Once those shields go away, it's going to get from bad to worse for the Flock here. They're under pressure, and now it is just going to be this lone Sojourn trying to change fate, but it's not going to be possible here on the first round as Moths take it in a very dominant fashion.
Yeah, not even close. Moths really controlled the Flock here. They really clipped them. And if you're the Flock here, you got to definitely rethink your plan. Maybe bring out a different type of a composition, right? To get a little more aggressive in those scenario corners. But yeah, if you're Moths here, you don't got to worry about anything. I really like the composition that they're running. They're working well with the Ram, even the Lucio backline, having those speeds, but as well, having the Kiri to Suzu stuff and getting out of those, abilities of the Ramatra are pretty, beneficial. But having the Moths here dominate like that, it kind of changes the tables for the Flock to switch some things up. So let's see what the Flock could do. They're walking out of spawn with a different DPS. So let's see if the cast could do anything.
Yeah, could potentially be, a bit of a difference maker in trying to maybe curtail this Genji from doing whatever they want, but we'll have to see how Indra really wants to attack this one. Currently, the Fox is playing this low ground, whereas Moths are more than happy to play up on the high ground, albeit besides Ventual on the Genji here. Now it is going to be a contest for point as it starts to unlock here. The Genji's so incredibly low. The deflect will not last forever, and Nixo is more than happy to follow that one up. So now with a 1-number advantage, the Flock is going to slowly start capitalizing the point. Meanwhile, a rotation has come around from the rest of the Moths here, trying to do something fancy, but as they're caught out, they realize they just have to hold on the high ground for the time being.
Yeah, something that needs to be important here is that Indra needs to take these corners immediately and always needs to be aware of these situations, because if Indra isn't, you're going to see Indra fall up in those scenarios. But look at this. You look at the Lucios just battling off the corner. Not a good look for Izuya.
Yeah, Izuya getting just a little bit too aggressive here, but Swines is able to trade it out. Taking Ramatra out of the fight is more than massive. It should be enough. And it'll be a second one, but it's actually still being traded, so it's technically an even fight in terms of numbers. But again, just having your Ramatra alive as well as Izuya speeding back from spawn to finally win that Lucio duel and getting a second one for their trouble here to keep the Flock in control.
Yeah, Izuya looking very, very good. I am very surprised by this Lucio player by far, but you're looking at the Moths, which could just get back up onto the Flock. We got to see a fantastic Moth team up on that first point sector of Gardens, so I wouldn't be surprised here if they were able to build back up into this one. Possibly a Nile could come, or even that Kitsune Rush that Juno is trying to build.
We'll have to see this fight can be a heavy investment of ultimates, I should say here. Now it's going to be a contest for the low ground, realizing they don't want to push directly into that Ramontra is probably the smart thing here. They just keep trying to bait over towards point now. The Nemesis form coming out for both Ramontras here. The Annihilations can pop at any moment. Dueling Kitsune rushes as well, but Moths' health bars are looking worse for wear. Juno's going to be the first one to fall. Now Jazzy probably having to do some running for their own life. It's not going to be fast enough though, as Swines has found this one. Now with only 2 members left on the point, Dax is trying to change this one around, knock to the low ground now, but it's not going to be an easy escape, having to run for their lives, but it's not going to be easy. A sound barrier now having to be invested just to keep the Ramontra alive. Touches now come through as the overtime is going to start. There's tons of ultimates still to invest here. You have this overclock going from Nixo right now, trying to create some space. The overclock on the other side is met with a sound barrier. There's a Grimlock. It's not going to be long for this world and get no value out of that one. The Deadeye could be putting the final staple on this, unless Eventual has something to say. Already gotten one with the blade, looking for a second, doesn't get it before it expires. So now it is just the Genji against the world, hoping for Respawn to get there in time. Nobody else gets a touch though. And with a 25 HP to spare, you have to save that for the next round.
Yeah, and you're looking at a 100% here from the Flock, but as well, you know, the last sector, Moths did a 100% against the Flock. So it's 50-50, how I kind of predicted. But if you're the Flock here, you obviously have these standing out players. So looking at how they could position around this, you have the high ground, you also have the low ground, which you got the walls to play. If you are Indra or Nyx, kind of position around those top corners, that could definitely be a good situation for you. But if you are the Moths here, seeing that happen, it's a little surprising. So could this be a little more closer here up on the third? I could see it, but Moths and the Flock, they're running out of spawns. Let's see what happens.
We'll have to see. No dive in sight, but that Cassidy adaptation could be a massive difference maker. Currently, Izuya is contesting the high ground up there, but we're on board with Nixo, trying to see what they can accomplish. Now again, this Lucio not afraid to be a little bit aggressive with it, knowing there's people who want to take this high ground, but instead decided to escape back to the team for safety for the time being. Grimlock incredibly low, having to just be a little bit careful here. Again, we're still in a 5v5 situation. Nobody has been able to lay claim to anything major just yet, but that'll be the first one. Azuya coming up massively, looking for a second in the fight, manages to get it. Go ahead and get a third, why don't you? Absolutely nothing stopping you outside of your aim. Now just doing a little bit of back and forth before finally giving over their own life, but it's okay because the Ramontra cleans up the fight and the Flock again get the first minute. Cap.
That's literally me up on Lucio right there, Mega. I mean, if I'm getting shot at, I just troll the other team, and yeah, definitely did that there. If you're up on the side of the Flock, wonderful work from that Lucio player alone. But you're looking at Jazzy, which is beating them up in that alt economy. Could they get that beat matrix first? I could see it happen. It just depends upon how the Moths position off of this outer corner, as we get to see the Ramontra kind of engaging. Yep.
Yeah, just a little bit too far though, with no ultimate yet to add that extra sustain. So now Moths are moving forward with another pick as well. It seems like it's inevitable before they flip the point over into their own control here, but they just need a little bit more to catch up in percentage.
Yeah, so Moths, they are building up this percentage right now up on this third, but you're looking at the Flock, which could just come back with these ultimates. Could we see a speed cast around the corner? Yes, but Kitsune rush in for the Flock.
Kitsune rush in now with the Deadeye as well, trying to see if they can get any damage to come through. Ultimately, nothing of super value is going to be gained there. Swines is down, but it is the rest of the team trying to pick up a little bit of the slack. We're now in a 3v3 situation. There's overclock from Nixo trying to turn tides, but when you're in the face of Ramontra, it's just not possible. Annihilation popped for just a Cassidy and a Kiriko. I mean, you win the fight, but I think it was already won.
Yeah, Moths sitting at a good percentage right now over the Flock here. This is definitely closer than expected out of the last two that we've had. But Moths, they have these ultimates, right? You got Blade, you also have the Sojourn, and the Sojourn, you're going to be popping. So can Moths get this aggression off the side of the Flock?
We'll have to see, as now that Annihilation is shut down with a sound barrier and a overclock to boot here. Grimlock looking for a little bit more in the fight, but I think you've done more than enough. Jazzy does go down, but the team kill still rings out for the Moths.
Yeah, Moths doing well with Grimlock there with that ultimate. You still have that blade ready to go up on the side of the Moths, but you're looking at the Flock, which could just sustain it. That's definitely going to be interesting to watch, but the Flock need to definitely get back up on it at this point, right? And they really don't have much to do so because the Sojourn's dead.
Sojourn's dead, already missing your Kiriko as well. The blade just going to be held menacingly, doesn't need any other kills just yet. 92% now. Somebody on the Flock has to try to make their way over to the objective with a nice kill onto Jazzy. They might be able to send the Diva here in time, but that D-Mech is going to stop any chance of a touch from coming through, and the Moss is going to take map number 1 here.
Yeah, something that I saw there is the Moss read that composition that the Flock were using and reading their mistakes. So if the Moths keep on, reading those mistakes and the opposition, they could definitely be running here with a good series up on their hands. But if you're the Flock here, definitely not too bad of a showing. You had, that 3rd point matchup up on that Oasis where it could have been yours, but stuff sided more up onto the side of the Moths here.
Yeah, currently in their favor right now, just being able to get that victory on map 1. It's always good to be able to take that first map, so the Flock now finds themselves in a position where they're going to have to try to figure out where exactly they want to go. They have choice over both map and mode, so they really can take us just about anywhere as long as the map is in the pool. Unless, Clash. You can't really go there anymore. That's not allowed. But
Yeah.
really, the floor is open, but it seems like regardless of where we go, both these teams want to stick with the brawl at all costs.
Yeah, Navy will be able to see a Malga composition come out, a target ban of a Ramatra happening, possibly for this next map. But, it's going to be interesting up on what they could choose. They could have a wide variety of modes, like how you said, they could pick anything. But the Flock need to pick something that is going to be going in their hand than the Moths, right? Because if they pick a map that fits the Moths composition, the Moths are going to roll. Or the Moths are going to have a 50-50 battle with this Flock team, and anything could happen, which it could just be very, very decisive. But the Flock need to pick something that's going to definitely work for them. Who knows what that is going to be, but this is, a 0-1 scoreline. The Moths could do the impossible against this Flock team and just say, hey, we're going to just 3-0 you out of this. But the Flock, they're still battling. It could go ways. I could see this next map equalizing that 1-1. But, yeah, they just need to pick something.
Just need to pick something indeed here, and while we wait for them to do just that here, I'm just going to quickly pull up the stats because if I'm not mistaken, not only is Moss coming into this undefeated, but I think their map record's looking pretty squeaky clean as well. That's why I'm trying to double check. That way I'm not handing out false information, even though, I'm more than happy to do that on occasion. Just double checking my information. That way I'm not lying to the people at home if the CGL site could load any faster. They have dropped a single map to Dragon's Vanguard. So the Moths right now probably sit in pretty damn pretty and just deciding to do whatever they please.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to worry about this Moth side. They have been dominant up in, whether seen here, if it's CGL or even that Face It division that they compete up in. But the Flock, you got a challenge right up in front of you, right? And you could take the thoughts right out of the heads of the Moths here, just depending upon what you do. It needs to be very, very important. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Flock play that first map, it was very uneven and a little unsettling, but the Moths just kept reading and reading. So if it goes like this for the rest of the series, I see Moths just, taking this.
Yeah, but again, it is only one map, so we're not going to be super doom and gloom just yet here. So in case you're wondering why it's taking so long to get anything sorted, apparently some shenanigans, it will be the nice way I put it, is happening on the side of
Is someone
the
puking?
yeah, well, see, I would feel bad for them, but the reason they stated before that, which I won't say on broadcast because it doesn't seem that professional to do, is a bit tomfoolery, a bit of tomfoolery that's happening here. So hopefully we'll get the Flocks to, as the kids say, lock in and figure out exactly what they want to do here, because You know,
Wait.
they have all the power. Again, they're the ones that have to make the decision on the map and mode that we're heading to, and then on top of that, they're going to need to submit a hero ban as well. Now, we've seen both the bans come through onto Rig and Tracer. Obviously, those two can technically still be banned if they're banned by other teams, but do you think, based off that first map, that any other targeted bans could come through?
I could see the Ramatra getting banned here from both of the sides. A DPS pick of possibly a Sojourn could happen. Even that target of a Kiri could be taken out of the question, just depending upon that map mode type. But yeah, now seeing what Swines is doing up on the flock, it's a little worrying, right? Does that take down their chances of winning up in this like reality?
I don't know. That's how I'm gonna put that. I don't know, because if I say anything else, there could be, dire consequences to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is just simply, again, bad. In terms of, one thing we didn't really highlight across that map is perk selection, right? But generally speaking, all the heroes that got picked are pretty set in their ways with what perks they're going to end up getting. There's no real deviation or like, oh, this strategy can come out if you pick this perk or something like that. So maybe we'll see them impact a little bit more, especially with that double hit scan approach that the Flox was doing, where they had the Cassidy and Sojourn in play.
I mean, I know that I'm pretty impressed up on the side of the flock. They have a fantastic Lucio player. They worked well with the perks, so that 15% there. Even up on University, they were, trying to work with something, right? And, stuff were going for them. They had that 100% to that 0. Stuff looked very good heading up into the third. But you look at how the pace and the tempo came out from both of the sides here, Mega. It's a little interesting still. Can the Moths still run their way with this one? I'm really interested to see what they even ban to, especially against the flock, because it could just be targeted. I expect both of the sides to target each other out of that first. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say,
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of the time we are having casting Overwatch. It really is one of the times of all time right now where, but yeah, I mean, we're in a semi-final matchup here for midseason, so you'd think that maybe teams would be a little bit more locked in at all, but I am being told that there's just some interesting things. Finally, hold up, the great voice has spoken, or typed in this case rather, but we finally officially have a map picked. We finally got to a map. Bans, no clue. Absolutely no clue in the world. But we do have a map selected here. We can see the map.
So we could definitely talk about this map, right?
Yeah, go for it. That's what I was setting you up for that.
Yeah, all right. So Midtown is going to be that next selected map of this series. It should definitely be interesting. Poke could definitely be seen here. Mega Dive as well. Brawl, I see more happening, especially after what we got to see from that first, map. But here we go. We got the bans happening. Teams could run different variety of compositions. They could ban out different heroes. I wouldn't be surprised here, like how I said, if they take out a DPS or support, but it wasn't up on the side of the support, but Genji was chosen.
Yeah, the Genji ban comes through here, so I mean, to be fair, from Flock's perspective, right, they ultimately got off of the Genji, they weren't favoring it, and so I can see why that ban comes through here. So now Moths are going to actually take their time to ban Lucio here, so speed is going to be the name of the game. It is going to have to be a Juno, which then enables the Juno break backline that we've sort of grown accustomed to, and seeing these options, it could be interesting.
Yeah, and that really punishes the side of, as you got up on the side of the flock, right? Is you can't play the Lucio anymore, so you're going to see a different lineup in those supports. A little, side calling communication needs to be up on point here for both, but this is definitely going to be that changing factor of the series here. Can the Flock get back up into this scenario, especially with them taking out the Genji? It's going to be something to tell, right? Because we got Midtown for our next map. Teams could run different compositions, but I still feel like we're able to see that brawl out of what we got to see from Oasis.
Yeah, I mean, the brawl is more than likely than not to be here on Midtown, especially if we're predicting that Juno break backline here. You could run some variants of poke, right? Sigma sees mixed levels of success on this map, for defenders at least. For the offense, generally speaking, they don't like to mirror the Sig just because it becomes a little bit nigh impossible to assault some of these high grounds here. But again, it is just sort of what these teams prefer. All we know is that there will not be a Lucio or a Genji in play. And Genji, removing that sort of pick, it's been the flex DPS a lot of people have been pivoting to with some of these compositions. But it seems like we're going back to lobby. If I had to guess, there's probably a ping issue. This is the bans weren't changed over. This is a game of Overwatch of all time. I love Overwatch.
Funny shenanigans up on the side of the European Open mid-season round 2 for the semis. So, with funny shenanigans, Mega, what do we think they're gonna do here against the Moths, right? You look at the Moths, right? They're up 1-0, right? They're pretty dominant up in that scoreline right now. We got to see them flip basically that scoreline out of that Oasis. Can the Flocks take this? I could see it. They have the potential. They have the players to do so. Stuff just needs to unlock those keys, right? And I feel like keys can unlock Flocks, right? So can the factors work for the Flock? Yes. They just need to bring this aggression towards the Moths. They need to play this really paced and really aware against the Moths, because the Moths over the Flocks here have a little more heading up into this. So the Flocks just need to work with something, right?
Yeah, we'll see what they can do on their selected hazard composition in the spawn room here. For the defenders, of course, having the Sigma, like we said, Sigma on defense here is a very strong option. It just kind of, again, gets mixed results on the attack. That's why you're seeing Flock opt in to the hazard. And of course, you also have Celix in. I'm pretty sure we mentioned that swap coming through, but just in case we didn't, there it is. You have a different tank in the lineup for Flock here. And now this Tracer from Indra is probably going to be miserable. That's just going to be the nice way to put it here, especially with the Torbjorn in play. But really, there's not going to be anything you can barrel down on unless, interestingly enough, Juno, who is on Ana, is in a bad spot.
Yeah, so Moths are up in an interesting one against the Flock right now. If you are the Flock, you're just trying to make a rotation towards that fire station, which the Moths are really controlling at the moment. They really don't want this Flock side to get up in. But yeah, if you're Grim or even Nyx, try and get an initial here.
That's the hope and the plan currently. The turret is down. Now it is going to be actually the Ana removed from the fight here by Celix, who is able to simply leap back and forth across the point, getting healed up all this time. Now being willing to jump in on the Sigma, catches an accretion to the face, but not before Dax on that Sigma goes down. So the defenders, already missing 2 members, are trying to have to turn this one around. They do get a pick on the Nyx though here, with only 2 ticks forfeited over so far. So if they wanted to for the defense, they could try to rush in and get a final touch, but it seems like all in all, they're just going to have to give this one up and send them off reeling.
Yeah, the Flock have this Orbital Ray too, and plus this Rally that's going to be able to get charged up really, really shortly. But look at this. The Hazard going in up onto the Torb is a great back pressure, and the Flock can now control this a little more against the Moths.
Yeah, they can control this, but we'll have to see how well they can, hold and things like that. Especially when the Flock is putting them under pressure time and again here. Now, simply just posturing, but the Sigma caught out of position a little bit, along with an Orbital Ray to boot, trying to anti-up the Celix, but it simply is not enough. Now trading Orbital Rays here. Dax so incredibly low, he's going to have to get the Nano Boost, but is held down by the downpour here, and Indra is following up on this hazard beautifully. the Ana player is going to get one for their trouble with the anti-nade, but haul in all of the flock is simply going to be able to clean this one up and keep the cart moving.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you here. They even got these 3 ultimates to sustain some up on the side of Moths, but I definitely still see the Flock here pushing this. Moths aren't looking good with their ultimate economy by far. If you're the Flock here, you got that over advantage, and I could definitely see them capping this with a lot of time defending.
Yeah, but speaking of the old Grimlock, now going to pop the overclock first here, but already Dax is missing from the fight, so low HP. He still gets a kill, and actually 2 with the help of the Ana for your troubles there, so now a 3v3 situation, but with the Hazard still alive, creating chaos here. That card's just going to keep on rolling. Nobody on the defense wants to stop it, and Moths now realizing that the Flock is barreling down on them with just under 5 minutes in the bank.
Yeah, and this is a different team of the Flock. You get to see that tank come up in. Celex just trying to work as much as they can against the side of the Moths. And I gotta say, nigga, they are definitely putting in this pressure against this Moth side. And you look at that ultimate economy up on the side of the Moths, it's been getting stopped from that pressure from Celex. So if Celex keeps it up, you're gonna see Moths not as much up in that economy.
So we'll have to see how that whole economy exchange works out, but Celex is incredibly low, got caught at the hands of the pummels from the Ramatra here now. The Brig simply trying to live. DBRX is alive for the moment here, but it seems like Dax has been able to save off the attackers, and finally the Moths get a much needed breath.
Yeah, Moths here with their Ana and Nano ready to go up on the side of the Moths. So, can the Flock get an ultimate out or a pick? Yes.
Yeah, they get a pick onto Jazzy here. Indra on this Tracer. I was having my doubts, but simply the Torbjorn is not enough to stop this powerful player. It is traded out though, so neither side having their Juno player up for the moment. Now an overclock coming out from Nick, so it's on the high ground. A little bit of range trying to fire these shots in, and simply is not enough to convert into an elimination just yet. So incredibly low, but not enough to net that kill. So we're back at it, 5v5. Downpour now coming down, connecting on to 3 members, including an Ana. So it's just going to be a massive deletion there from the Hazard. Sure, you get Nixo for your troubles here, but it's going to be now the Ramatra actually popping Annihilation. Dax believes this fight is winnable, and is proving just that, although now dropping to less than 200 HP, is slowly but surely getting healed up, and Dax actually manages to turn that one with a massive Annihilation.
Looking at it, Celex was looking good up in that fight, but once Dax popped the Annihil up on the side of Moths, stuff definitely changed, right? It was like an Uno reverse card right up in front of us, but now we get to see these teams coming back. The Flock still here with a great time bank to where they could cap. They have these ults, right? So Orbital Ray, Rally ready to go. Indra could possibly charge up this Pulse, but yeah, if you're the Moths here, just keep holding.
Yeah, keep holding. The Molten Core is going to come out now trying to create more space, and it just does exactly what it needs to. The defense has finally found their footing in a much stabler way here, as now they've just rattled off back-to-back-to-back fights of domination.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been dominant from this Moth side. Grimlock here with the Sojourn ultimate ready to go. That could be positioned anywhere off of a corner on top. Who knows what that is going to do against the Flock, but the Flock on their last couple attacks hasn't been looking very good because Celex is dead.
Yeah, and now with Celex dead again, the attackers have been set reeling. All the success that the Flock found earlier is slowly coming apart here as the Moths have been figuring this out time and again. Now, Indra lurking in the backline, trying to find an opportunity to throw out this Pulse Bomb. It's going to be an overclock, though, from Grimlock to start this one out. That Pulse Bomb ends up going wide into a shield. Nothing gained, and Moths running forward. Don't even need the overclock, as the Torbjorn and Ramatra combo is just too much for anyone to handle, and Moths gaining more and more courage as they're looking towards spawn doors.
Yeah, Moths are really just holding this one against the Flock. They're trying to read everything that they can against the Flock, and I gotta say, they're doing it very, very greatly. Juno still with this Nano ready to go. Dax trying to charge this up, and look at that, a little bit of a combo.
Yeah, combo, and it's just going to continue netting even more. Doesn't actually have to pop the Annihilation this time. Just the Nano was all that's needed, and the Flock have been stopped with less than 40 seconds to go. By the time they get this next attack going, I don't know if they can do it.
Yeah, so Dax here, still with this Annihil that could be popped against the Flock. They have been pretty dominant with that defense. They've taken out so much time out of that time bank, but oh, Jazzy able to get Intra? This changes everything.
It changes everything indeed, especially because you lose your honor early on to Indra, but it is going to now be traded out, and now it is going to be 15 seconds to see if anybody from the Flock can get onto this payload to trigger overtime.
I don't know. If you're the Flock here, you're a little distanced from that payload, and the Moths have been pushing you back, but look at that. Celix is going to be there. They're going to take looks at the turret, too, so they're not going to have to worry about that, but something to worry about is that Molten Core.
Molten Core combined, potentially having to worry about the downpour as well, although it's going to be the Hazard who ends up falling inside of that Molten Core here. Now it is Dax simply killing anybody that chooses to touch this payload for the time being, and what started so well for the Flock is ultimately falling apart here on point C.
Yeah, Flock really got held there, I would probably say. That's really the only thing that I could say about the Flock. They gotta, withstand the Moth's pressure. If they don't withstand it, they're gonna be pushed back even more against this Moth side. But they had very good looks up on their attack. They had 4 minutes up in their time bank, almost 5, heading up into that first initial, getting that first point cap, heading into that second. They even pushed the Moths back too. So can the Flock defend this? It's going to be still very, very difficult for them. I see Moths getting up onto their mistakes, up on what they pull here, because anything that we got to see from the map 1, the Moths read it, they capitalized up on it, and if the Moths could do it here, they could just be taking this Midtown.
That's going to be what they hope for, but I'm sure the Flock is going to try some new strategies here on the defense. They switched very late in that first round to the double hit scan, now choosing to start on it here with that Sojourn Ash combination here. Gotta keep Celix onto the Hazard for the time being, knowing how powerful it can be, but the Moths, meanwhile, they realize that potentially this defense could be jumping around, moving a lot, so they're just going to stick with a straight-up brawl while their hit scan look for angles.
Yeah, and I'm quite surprised that the Flock didn't punish this tank to ban off of, right? I feel like Dax has been pretty dominant up on the side of the Moths, and that's something that the Flock maybe might need to do up in its next one. But can the Flock defend against this Moth side? It's been real dominant up on the side of the Moths, especially after what we got to see from their defense.
And so we'll have to see what else can be done here for their, for their defense, see if they can maybe muster something up that looks a bit better, especially with how quickly point A went through for the Flock. Moths would have to set an incredibly fast pace in order to turn that one around. You see Nixo dropping incredibly low here, but here comes the assault, and it's going to find onto Nixo here with the help of those torpedoes. Now trying to find a little bit more here, realizing the Ash is running to the high ground. Dax not wanting to chase that one because it is just going to be a false chase in the end here. Now the Hazard jumping out, so like so incredibly low, but is able to live for the time being. Indra technically surrounded, and you see the torpedo run up the stairs now, but ultimately this Ash technically has a few more seconds to try to find a pick, and it'll actually be one onto Dax here as everybody focuses their attention onto Indra. So now without your tank, it is going to be Jazzy, the next one to fall here, but it's continuing to be traded out, so this could go from bad to worse, but finally the defense manages to stabilize with a few extra kills.
Yeah, and you're looking at the Flock, which are running this Hazard composition up into the Ram, which the Ramatra from the side of the Moths was working up on that defense. Now, if the Flock can stop this Ram and what they have up in their ultimate economy of that Nano, stuff can definitely flip the tables, right? So the Flock, they don't have an ultimate yet, but Nyx is just trying to charge that up. We could see that Sojourn ultimate getting popped when that Nano is popped.
Definitely just simply waiting to see, like you said, when that Nano chooses to be invested here for the side of Moths. You're going to have to be a little bit more careful, keeping everybody hidden. And for the meantime, in the laundromat, Dax finally working their way over to point, but the hazard is here to greet this Ramatra, who no longer has a nemesis form. 5 seconds away. The biotic grenade is going to be plenty enough healing to get them over to that, though. He's going to have to dodge the downpour, but the rest of the team is not so lucky. Your support line missing means that healing is just going to be nigh impossible for now. And that Bob is going to beautifully clean things up as the defense continues to hold.
Yeah, very great job positioning that Bob. If you are Indra and the Flock, they have these ultimates still ready to go up in their economy, right? That Orbital Ray, that Rally, same as well as Nyx with theirs. But you're looking at the Moths, which have just been getting held so far up on their attack of this first initial. Can the Moths change this thing up? Because the factors, they got 3 to do it, maybe even 5 coming up.
3, 5, however many it could be. The orbital ray is going to be extended first here by Jazzy. It gets everybody over to the objective, but not without consequences. Grimlock was a little bit isolated. Now you're going to see the rest of Moths try to hide inside of the firehouse here. They are able to officially clear out Indra finally here, so they have full control over it, but they have to be able to attack out of here. They have to be able to find something. Nixo maybe goes in a little too far, barely escapes with their life. 14 HP is slowly going to turn to 0 here, but the On It now missing has already given over the nano boost to Dax, though, who could choose to invest this annihilation. Doesn't feel it necessary just yet here, but the defense has ticks to give.
Yeah, maybe the Flock could get back up into this one. You have Nyx with this Sojourn ultimate if they want to put more pressure up on the side of the Moths, but looking at it here, Mega, they are going to be contesting this one, so good choice from the Flock and a great way to not capture the objective.
Yeah, I mean, they send Celix in, but unfortunately, it's just not enough in time here. So now just the overclock from Grimlock does what it needs to create some space, and now potentially some good high ground can be held here. Flock Indra does manage to find one onto Jazzy here, so this should stifle Moths on their attack for the time being, but it's now going to be a battle over the high ground.
Yeah, so Nyx ready to go with their ultimates. They can position that anywhere. High ground could just be predictable for the side of the Moths to read that, but Moths are ready to go with their Annihil. We know what Dax could do with that Annihilation, but that's the only ultimate that they have. But your Celix, you're able to pop this. Doesn't get much.
Yeah, nothing comes off of the downpour here, so it is just going to have to be Celix running for their life. Meanwhile, Nixo incredibly low. Once again, has to be a little bit careful about peeking until some healing resources come in, just like that. Now Indra throwing in another Bob deep into the back line here is going to cause everybody on the offense to kind of hide, and now they have a split situation where the Ramatra and Torb are isolated from the rest of the team. You're seeing the supports aggressively try to push to see if they can get anywhere to try to help this Ramatra. Dax is going to try to go in, has the Annihilation still ready to go. It's now going to actually be the Brig who ends up isolating. Dax so incredibly low, decides not to pop that ultimate. And that could be one that you regret as the defense finally gets stabilization.
Yeah, the Flock could definitely find an answer here against the Moths. They have been positioning very, very well, and I gotta say, they're a lot more coordinated than what they were up on that attack whenever they were getting stopped and really couldn't find a way after that. But here, we're seeing the Flock manage against the Moths very, very well. They got these 3 ultimates ready to go, but a wonderful pick here coming out from the side of the Flock.
A wonderful pick. Make it 2 here, as now the attackers are going to have to regroup for what is to be their final attack, potentially. They're not going to have anything else to work with in the time bank. Just 30 seconds and this nano annihilation.
Yeah, it's seeming to be that the Flock are trying to stop this Moth side as much as possible, but they need to be aware of these 2 ultimates up in their economy. Possibly a third coming up if Grimlock charges that one, but you're looking at an Annihil plus a Nano that could just be popped to destruct the side of the Flock. But look at that. The Flock are just trying to get something out of it.
Trying to get something out of it, but is going to be the overclock on the other side. Now this Nano Annihilation combo has come through. It's gotten 2 kills, but that's going to be just about it here. It's being traded back and forth, and now the attackers find themselves down in numbers, down in options here. The Tracer missing from the fight. It is just now a Ramatra stalling out point as long as you can, but guess what? Those arms can't stay crossed forever. You're finally going to end up falling here, and just like that, the Flock have tied us up 1 apiece.
So, yeah, definitely interesting from the flock here. They made that substitution of the tank, right? Celix coming in. I feel like that was great to, sit your main tank out, have your substitution come up in, and change the pace of the game. And they definitely did it here up on Midtown. Now they really don't got to worry about being a map down. It's even, it's equal. They got their scenario now here.
They've got the scenario they need indeed, because again, it just looked incredibly well for them there on Midtown. So Moths now going to have to be the ones that head to the drawing board to try to figure out how exactly to beat this Hazard style. It could be with a ban, it could be a map selection. Only time will tell, but this time we're going to give them a little bit of time. We'll be throwing it to a quick break, but on the other side of it, we have this match still going on, so don't go anywhere. This match is just getting started.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully, you got yourself a beverage, a snack, maybe if you needed, because we are in the middle of this series, tied one apiece between Moths and the Flock here. It's been a pretty hotly contested back and forth, and so far, really, it still is potential to be anyone's game.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised from the Flock. They worked well with their substitution, even, coming up into that map 2 of Midtown. Having their record of a 2-2, that does stand against a 4-0. You look at the competition level, that 2-2 team wants to win over that 4-0 team record. So the Flock, now they have great momentum against the Moths, right? Which they could possibly get another map here. It just depends upon what they choose, right? We got these wonderful bands here, and as well a map selection that the Moths do have to choose. But looking at it, we got to see both of the teams run Brawl, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we were able to see more of that, but there could just be a switch up in the compositions where we could see Dive or Poke.
Yeah, I mean, there really are plenty of options and potential here, as we are still just waiting to see where we're even going to end up going, right? We still have, Flashpoint, Push, or Escort to pick from here, so those can certainly determine plenty of options here. We haven't really seen these teams opt into the dive. Like, you can consider Hazard like a divey character, but they are still playing it in more of that poke style, like you were saying, where they're just opting for the double hit scan to really steal the show and do what they do best.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was another pick that could definitely come out here for the Flock. But you look at it now, the Moths could ban that heading up into the next map, which that could change everything, right? They could play a different composition, and they really won't need to worry about the Hazard if they do ban the Hazard. But that would be a great ban if the Moths were able to capitalize upon that. I would definitely agree to it. But yeah, it was great overall for the Flock. I'm wondering if they'll bring back the starting tank or keep Celix up in, because Celix showed a great job of work and performance there with the playstyle. So let's see what happens here. We're going to take a look at the bans, and Moths are going to be banning first.
Yeah, they're going to be banning first here. We'll have to see where these bans go. Obviously, the only restriction is they can't ban the same character twice, so no Lucio, no Tracer ban. I would not be surprised to see, I was going to say a Hazard ban, but they opt into banning Cassidy. I mean,
Interesting.
The Flock did play Cassidy on that first map, so I get the point, but overall, I mean, we've seen that Indra has other hit scan in the pool.
But is it gonna matter? Oh, wait, this is actually great ban. They're taking Ramatra out. I love this ban from the Flock. Now you gotta worry if you are the Moths, because they had that Ramatra play up on that initial first map pick, but as well, they were trying to work with it up on their defense of Midtown. So with the Flock here picking this changes sides. I feel like Flock heading up into this, they could definitely get the map over Moths, but it just determines up on what the teams run. I still expect it to be brawly, but we could just see Hazard getting played from both of the teams. Like Poke Stage could be seen here heading up into this map 3, but yeah, let's see what happens. We got a great map right up ahead of us. We got Suravasa. Suravasa's great.
Suravasa is amazing. And like you said, there's plenty of options here, but I think actually the Ramatra ban might go to waste, because while we saw Ramatra being played by the side of Moths, they are definitely potentially going to be able to opt in for the Mauga as just a better overall option to Ramatra here. So potentially maybe one could have saved that Ramatra ban for another map where it was going to be more common. But either way, this should force Moths' hand into that Mauga matchup, which means Flock, they really do have to respond, right? Like, there's not really another tank in the game, unless you're playing some pixel perfect Overwatch, that's going to be able to stand up to Mauga right now.
Yeah, I know I'm quite excited for that Mauga to come out. I know teams that are running it up on the pro level, people think up in chat, oh, this is just boring because we get to see it 24/7. But here up in the lower division, it's a little questionable, right? We got this open here of the Flock and the Moths, right? Anything could happen. Anything's a little predictable between these two. It just determines upon who brings that higher pressure and aggression into that different composition. Even if they match the compositions, right? If they run it out up on Mauga, one of the two tanks needs to be better than the other here, and that's what is going to get one of these teams here that win.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Now, granted, we're talking about Mauga so much that potentially it'll be funny when they just come out on Hazard or even Diva or just something random where it has nothing to do with the Mauga at all. But one thing that potentially we could look to beyond the tank line here is this is the first time that both speed options have been in, right? You could choose between the Juno, Lucio, and we'll have to see what these teams actually prefer as their backline, right? Whether it's going to be some variant of Juno with either Brig or Ana, or if it's going to be the Lucio Kiri that teams have been running as well here. And I think being able to set the pace on those backline heroes, and depending on whether or not you have that cleansing Suzu, it can certainly shape the fight in a much different way. It changes, how you want to play things. With the Suzu, you can be a little bit more defensive, waiting out your opponents, whereas something like a anti-nade from Ana, you have to be the aggressors. You have to be the ones to say, okay, we're going first. We've got to dictate the pace of this fight. And it can really just change everything.
Yeah, and I also have a feeling, Nega, where the Flock are going to be running this off of a ball, maybe for this aggress to get to this first initial, to kind of take over this space against the Moths. But let's see what happens here. We got a new map. It is 1-1. It is tied. Stuff could definitely change. But yeah, this is definitely looking more closer than what I expected, at least. But yeah, so Hazard is still going to be getting played, and Celix still up in for the Flock. So great decision there, up on the side of the Flock. But you're looking at Dax, which is up on the side of the Moss. They're going to be playing that Diva. So we did kind of hint the Diva. And I gotta say, both of the tanks are bringing out this high aggression pace. But who's going to be able to get that first pick first? I expect it to be the Flock, just because of what they're running.
Yeah, we'll have to see just exactly what's going to end up being run, or what's going to be able to come up here as Moths. Like we were talking about, they're going to want to be able to play first in these fights, especially with the Diva in tow. And now that we have Vensual back on the Genji here, this could also be a sign that they want to get more aggressive with it. So we'll have to see how the Flock chooses to react to this, as their composition, besides, the Hazard wants to get in there, but the rest of the team really wants to wait, bide their time, and see if they can find openings. So as the point unlocks here, you're going to see early point pressure come out from Moths, but the Genji is found out first here. Good kill from Indra. See if we can look for a little bit more here. Sees the Kiri up on the high ground, ultimately cannot connect onto any shots here, so now it's going to be the Diva mech, the main focus here, and it's going to allow Flock to get the first cap coming through.
Yeah, Flock looking good for this initial. If you are Celix, you're able to get Grimlock there up on the corner, and Dax is going to be able to fault. So Moths are going to have to regroup up into this scenario, but you're looking at the Flock, which could just punish the side of the Moths, depending upon how they do it, but, getting caught if you are Nyx.
Yeah, getting caught out like that is never good in any situation here. So now the Genji, realizing they have a little bit more rain, a little bit more aggression to go with here, it gets terrifying now for the Flock. They just have to give over the cap to the Moths here and simply bide their time, wait for that Sojourn to get back into the fight, which they're going to be able to do pretty handily here. So now with everybody back in this one, they're going to see the Hazard engage onto the Diva, trying to see if they can make a little bit of space. Nice wall to at least deter the Diva from getting right back to her team. Has to be able to group the long way around here, but now it is just control over the high ground. You're seeing Grimlock be able to fire off a railgun beautifully into the head of Indra. And now it is traded out 1-for-1, so both teams are missing a DPS in this fight. Now we have dueling Kitsune rushes as well. This one coming off of the high ground, so it's going to continue to see Grimlock holding this aggressive position. And this is where you love to be as a Sojourn. A teleport through, followed up with a sound barrier, as Izuya has beat Moths to that one by just a little bit here. The kills are coming through now. The mech of this kill on the Sojourn. Nexo does fall for their crimes. And actually, Eventual is trying to turn this one, has come up with 2 kills, looking for a third onto the Ash, pulls the blade, thinking it's winnable here. Finally does get one onto the Ash, now looking for a bit more, is only going to be met with the hazard for the time being as the Kiriko teleports back to safety here. The flip has come through, and the fight just keeps going. The Lucio is going to be caught. Jazzy is now done, and it is going to be this low HP Eventual who has to regroup with the team now as the rest of the Moths realize they have to give this one up.
Yeah, Celic's able to get a great decision of popping that ultimate there, getting the picks 2 with it. But you're looking at the Flock, which you're going to have 2 ultimates of the DPS line that could be popped. But look at Jazzy go, getting Celix out of this? This changes.
Changes everything, and Grimlock now with the overclock trying to put a final point on it, and it's going to do just that. Finds 2 in the fight as the first cap comes through onto market here for the side of Moths. The exclamation point on that fight, as now we're going to be heading on over to Ruins for our next one.
Yeah, and Ruins it is. I could definitely see more headshots getting popped from these Sojourn players. Grim has just been nasty with it, but something that's going to be nasty to look forward to is this Diva Bomb that could get launched up at any moment possible. But look at that pressure going in from Dax up on the side of the Moths to the Flock. They got to worry, though, about these 2 ultimates because Intra is able to pop.
Yeah, and so now with that popping here, we've traded out both Lucio's no speed in the fight, and Nixo more than happy to take out their opposite number. But Celix, again, at the hands of this Genji for Eventual is going to go down here. So another first cap coming through on the side of the Moss here. A last-second touch comes out from Indra, but it is just that, a last-second touch.
Yeah, and something that would look interesting to me is if the side of Moths could take this, aggression away from the Flock, they could just get the secondary. But you look at Nyx, that could just come back with that Sojourn, but as well that Kitsune Rush engage could happen up on the side of the Flock. Something's to say, right? Can it be Juno or the side of the Flock to pop this? Oh, taking Nyx out? Yikes.
Taking Nixo out, and now with another one on DBRX. You see why the Genji ban had to come through on the last map. Eventual just doing too much on the hero here. And so now it is going to be just clean up as there's only one final fight for this point.
Yeah, Eventual has this ultimate of Blade ready to go. Dax and Juno ready to go with theirs too. Jazzy and Grim just trying to build up on the side of the Moths. But Mega, if you are the Moths, you really don't gotta worry. Maybe if you're the Flock, just try and take out the Moth side of point of view, but Eventual able to get Azuya.
Yeah, gets one onto here. Sure, you're gonna technically have, I was gonna say a flip's come through, but it's just shy of that actually here, as the team kill is going to ring out, and Moss, they now just find themselves 1 point away from taking Flashpoint.
Yeah, so 2-0 here up in this Suravasa matchup. Moths looking good by far. They got 3 up in their ultimate economy. Grimlock 96%, so you're going to be looking at 4. But yeah, if you're the Flock here, you're going to be looking at 4 to 5, depending upon Indra if they pop. But 2 support ultimates getting popped up on the side of the Flock.
Yeah, and so now with those support ultimates, you're already seeing the Flock fully ready to win this one out. I mean, hey, listen, if you invest both support ultimates, it's fine, required to win it. The Baby Diva, the last thing to fall here as the point finally unlocks.
Yeah, so Flock popping the 2 support ultimates up in that last fight. It's going to be a little challenging, right? Because you don't got those 2 support ultimates to sustain an ultimate. But you got the Flock with 3 tank and 2 DPS ready to go. Moths sitting at 2 supports and 1 tank. Now, this could be that factor that needs to happen. Can Indra hit a nasty pulse bomb on the side of the Moths here?
Yeah, we'll have to see, as Jazzy again missing from the fight, having to be incredibly frustrating at this point to be a Lucio in the face of this composition right now. As it's just going to be another quick cleanup for the Flock.
Yeah, so Flock, they're running with this percentage at the moment. 2 DPS ultimates still ready to go. Indra still could position a pulse bomb onto maybe the back line, but needs to be aware of that Suzu. Indra, though, able to answer up on the Grim.
get a beautiful answer here, taking Grimlock out of the fight. And so now Moths is going to have to try to contest this one short-handed. The Genji more than happy to do it, but he's going to be found out by Indra. So now it is going to be 3 members left standing here for the Moths to try to turn this one around. Nixo is going to take one out onto Jazzy here, but it seems like there's still a contest happening on the point. So the point flip happens right under their noses, despite Flox still having heavy numbers advantage, just scared of the D.Va in that Kitsune rush, not wanting to push their advantage any further here. So now it is going to be Select, who's so incredibly low. Nixo back on the scene, wants to invest his overclock because they're trying to win this fight outright. They don't want to take any longer than they have to, but it seems like they may just have to wait for a future fight. They do force the D.Va bomb, but Jazzy with 2 in the fight is going to be able to flip this one now completely in Moth's favor.
Yeah, Jazzy doesn't even got the Jazzy Lucy skin on, so a little bit of the San Francisco happening up on the side of the Moths. Hey, wait, maybe they're trying to mention Moth meta, right? It's up in their name there, but no mercy scene, obviously. But the Flock, 2 support ultimates, they're looking good, but look at this. Genji able to get popped.
Yeah, so now with the blade out, it could be the moment of map completion here for Moss. They get that late kill onto Celex. They see the spawn doors in their sight. Nobody really able to escape. It's going to be completely on Indra to potentially find a touch in this one. Not sure if that Tracer's going to be in position in time, but the rest of the team is still being spawn camped. DBRX, the first to fall. And yeah, the Tracer's going to be able to tap point in time here. Potentially actually could flip it if nobody's able to get over in time. So depending on how quickly it takes his overclock. Oh, the overclock already forced out here nearly catches onto the Tracer. Being able to live for the time being is Indra's #1 goal in priority. Izuya just a little bit too fast. The point ends up going down here. So now the chaos is really ensuing. The Kitsune rush trying to keep Celex alive. It's just not going to be enough here. And things are going from bad to worse for the Flock as, yeah, the flip comes back into Moth's favor here. And they get a dominant 3-0 on Flashpoint.
Yeah, great way to, flip that third sector. Moss did a great job there. They worked extremely well. I feel like Jazzy was very coordinated there, getting picks sometimes initially, but you got to see Genji play here up on the side of them, and Moss, they are looking very good with the potential that they could do heading up in the next map. It's going to be interesting to see if the side of the opposing can ban a hero, right? That's going to be important because were the hero bans important out of that Servasa? Could be, could have, but you're looking at next map, which the Flock need to answer.
Yeah, the Flock now has to answer back, right? Otherwise, Moth, they simply take the victory and move on to the finals here. So we'll have to see exactly how that response ends up being formulated. The Flock, they have 2 options left. We're either going to push or we're going to escort now that all the other modes have been played through. So it very different sort of rule sets that could be changing things, but I think regardless of where they go, they can't technically ban the Genji anymore, so they've got to be able to find a way to shut this one down.
Yeah, and I could see the Flock taking us to push here out of what I've gotten to see from them throughout the season. They bring a lot of high intel aggression play up into a push map, but against the Moths, right, that have been shutting you down in some scenarios, it's going to be a little challenging, right? A little bit of an uphill battle for them. That could happen. But the Flock, their initial start of a push map, if I could remember here, Mega, was a ball coming out of the spawn from the side of the Flock. That could happen, but there's no promises.
No promises, no guarantees. That's for sure here. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to come down to potentially what they want to play, whether that ball composition does come to fruition, or if it's something they potentially are saving for the back half of the season. We will have to just wait and see. But waiting and seeing is just simply our specialty at this point, right? I mean, the Flock, they like to take their time, really evaluate all their options, which when you're in serious series like this, I think, actually, though, to give the Flock some credit, going into this, we talked about the difference in record, but Flock, they fully seem like prepared and they're willing to go toe-to-toe with this Moss team.
Yeah, and as heard from Prod here, we got that map choice, and it seems to be Esperanza. So I was a little correct about push coming out up on the side of the Flock. They want to push this aggro pace into the Moths here. Now, to answer the question, if the Moths could answer onto them, I feel like Moths, if they run Diva here, you got open space up on Esperanza to hit nasty bombs and so much potential there. But if you're the Flock, you could run a scenario of possibly a different composition or something that punished the Moths, like the Hazard up on a defense situation. But looking at the Hazard here, can Hazard get played? Can Ball get played? Can Ram get played? You got so much scenarios and variety that the Flock could run. So it's going to be interesting to see what they could do against the Moss, because looking at the scoreline, they still need the point to tie up the series to make it 2-2. But this is a great map choice from them to get back up into this one.
Yeah, it's a great map choice. Now we'll just have to simply wait and see what the bans could potentially be. That could also,
Change up the series.
that could absolutely change everything. Yeah, no, I just had my brain decide to do a little bit of a shutdown. But it happens to the best of us. Just like it seems like after every single round, the Flocks decide to shut down for about 10 minutes. It's just a very fun time to be here.
Yeah, it's like we're getting thrown to the past here, just sitting up on desk 24/7. We gotta take that time machine back to the future. But yeah, if looking at it, you have Moths, which have been dominant throughout the season, remarking their 4-0 season record. Heading up into the midseason, they have been pretty good. And seen here against the Flock, they got the competition. It's not what they were probably thinking against the Flock, which the Flock are 2-2. And maybe Moths had a different siding coming up into this, saying, hey, they're 2-2. We really don't got to worry about anything. But hey, if a team does think that, stuff could change the whole entire series completely. And the mindset and the compositions that you run either way could just offset everything. So hopefully that's not what they're thinking. Hopefully Moths are having a good mental, not a bad mental. But yeah, I mean, wish both teams good mental. But yeah, Mega, we're still waiting here. I know I want to get back up into the action. I know you do too. But let's kind of question the bans here. What do you think the Flock could ban against the Moths?
I think that they could ban one of the heroes in the video game known as Overwatch. And at this point, I don't care which hero. I don't care which hero. Just if they could ban one of them, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well,
I would
it's
love
just
that.
sort of it's one of those things where just sometimes teams they get a little bit too silly, and maybe they sort of exist in an enigma wrapped in a simile or a metaphor or whatever phrases you'd like to use here. There's just in terms of actual options, right? Because the only real big issue is a Genji. You already burned the Genji ban on map number 2, so you can't ban it again unless you can somehow reverse psychic mind control Moss into banning Genji themselves. I think you're gonna have to look to other avenues here, and it's just sort of having to wait and see. As my goodness gracious, I didn't think it was possible we actually see the ban screen. Wow.
Oh my goodness. So we are taken back here. We are up in the future. No past tense of the desk. But yeah, we are here. The Flock are banning. And yeah, if you're the Flock here, you need to target something that is going to be critical against the side of the opposing. Now, can they take out a tank? A tank could be a great pick here, but as well, if you don't take out a tank or support... Okay, wait, okay, this is great. They took out a support. I was a little worried that they were going to pick damage.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that could be worried about, but no, that ban comes through and removes, I believe it was Kiriko from the fight here.
Yep.
And so, it makes things interesting when you remove Kiri, because again, that does, it really kind of plays into already what Moss were doing. They didn't seem to really like the Kiri. Sure, they mirrored it when they had to there on Saravasa, but ultimately they've been more of the team that can play this Juno style really, really well. Meanwhile, Moths ban the Symmetra. I don't know if there's potentially any logic. As we said, we're going to Esperanza. Not a lot of sim teleporting strategies. So unless maybe this is something that, the Flock is known for, and they want to ban it. Otherwise, this could just be like a we don't know what to ban, so we're just going to ban this type of deal.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe Moths were trying to cook up something that happens up in the Proceed, where you got to see, the TP selection out of compositions with Rhine coming up in, or even like Ramatra. Who knows to say? But we do have a substitution coming in for the Flock. Kai coming up in. Now, can Kai find the answers against this Moth side? Everything needs to be perfect because Moths are up on match point here. If they win this next one, you are out. So, and the Moths move on. So, can the side of the Flock find answers against the Moths up on the city streets of Esperanza? Or can the Moths just, over-dominate?
That is the question, the name of the game, if you will, and we'll finally be able to figure it out here. Because, again, you'd love to have that extra win that you get, plus the bragging rights. To be able to say you were able to be on some of these other teams that you may have to face later on, or even in any postseason playoff situation. So, getting those extra brownie points never hurt anybody. But for the time being, we're now going to be going through the lovely, lovely streets of Esperanza, whatever you want to call it. I say Esper because somebody told me it was Esper once, and I've just sort of believed them. I like to believe people at their word. That's probably a bad thing, but who knows?
So from the side of Moths here, Mega, they're running Grim up onto the Bastion, but they have a backline of Jazzy and Juno up on this Mercy Ana. But Jazzy playing the Juno, so hopefully it doesn't confuse us too much, but a swap coming in from Jazzy, taking that one up onto the Lucio, no surprise. But the Flock not running up onto the Wrecking Ball here. A little, no reoccurrence here.
Yeah. No Wrecking Ball in sight, just going to be the dual Divas of Destruction here, and we'll have to see what they can come out with. Celix with Indra now on a bit of an off angle. Not normally what you see. The Tracer Diva don't really sync up until halfway through the fight here, and now Indra drops to the low ground purely out of fear of the Genji here. This is the impact that the Eventual is having on the matchup here, in case you have not been aware. But he's going to be able to actually find that kill onto the Genji somewhere off screen while we were watching a Diva duel. That's interesting to be here. Now being zoned by the Disruptor Shot, finally able to re-engage here as they see Dax Diva Mech incredibly low, going to go ahead and leave the Pilot Diva to her devices here, and now see if they can follow up onto the Ana. They already claimed onto the Pilot, and that Ana is down out of the fight, and the Flock actually in control.
All right, so very much a surprise. The Flock are running into this one. They want a point against the Moths here, but we get to see the Moths still running that Diva, so maybe, like how I said, they could find that potential up in those opening value areas, but it's going to be interesting to see because Kai is the difference maker in this game for the Flock, so great potential here for both, but the Flock leading more.
The Flock is leading. Kai able to get that one, but and by the way, something we didn't really talk about is Kai subbing in to play in that Ana role, doing absolutely what you expect from an Ana player here when you need him. And the Flock so far have been off to an amazing start. They're missing Indra for the time being, but being able to go with already 70 plus meters is a huge accomplishment. Now Celix having to be a little bit careful, a little bit suspicious of everything that's happening here, as now we're rotated over to the bot, having to be a little bit careful. Celix incredibly low, is having to back off for the time being, and so without a proper fight, now we're seeing the bot control try to trade out. Indra ends up going wide with that pulse bomb, so now a nano boost onto a Diva plus a biotic grenade for good measure to keep Celix extremely healthy in the fight here, doing any and everything they can. Sound barrier on top of it. Flock wants to keep their forward momentum going. Jazzy a little bit too late on that sound barrier means that they are going to be missing their Ana, and now the Lucio to boot here. No support for the side of Moth means that they are simply going to have to die or get out here. This Sojourn so incredibly low. Grimlock is going to finally be found here, and the Flocks are going to keep on rolling.
Yeah, the Flock are cooking with that tempo. At the moment, they have an ultimate in their economy. Wins to say that could be popped. No, but yeah, Moths, they have 3 ults, right? So looking at that ultimate economy, more up on the side of the Flock here. The Moths have better, pressing pressure, especially looking at that.
Yeah, beautiful 2 kills, looking for a third here. The combination of this overclock plus a little bit of help from the Tracer here, realizing the Genji might not be the option here, having to take the Tracer duel straight up, but already 100 meters for the Flock here as they all get forward spawns.
So Flock still just trying to do something here with that Sojourn ultimate, but not so much of ultimates getting charged by far. They still only have that one, but you have up on the side of the Moths, you got that Diva Bomb, and Diva Bomb's gonna get popped up in this little corner space. Not too very decisive, I'd probably say.
Yeah, just having to pop it to get the mech back here. Dax still incredibly low in that mech now. Finally, he's going to be popped out of it once again here. So it's effectively removing the Diva from the fight here. Now you're going to see this focus fire on the Grimlock, on the Sojourn, trying to live for the time being. Is able to do it thanks to the help of this lovely Ana. But meanwhile, the rest of the DPS line has gone to work. Indra already has 2 in the fight, looking for a third onto Lucio. Can they get it? No. Oh, yes, actually, they do get that final blow here. That's going to put the Flock back in control, moving the bot their way.
All right, Flock are still looking very, very great here with that meter, but as well, they got so much and many ultimates over this Moth side. If you're the Moths here, Mega, you gotta worry, right? Because Juno only has Nano, and Jazzy's just trying to charge up that beat, so you're just trying to work with those support ultimates at the moment, but Nano getting popped up on the Celix.
Yeah, Nano being popped and dedicated now. Celix having to try to see what they can do here. Going to end up costing them their mech, but they do have the self-destruct to be able to get back into it. Meanwhile, Dax doesn't have that on the other side, so it is just going to be missing their Diva. Once again, a beautiful pulse bomb onto Indra, as now Izuya is trying to do everything in their power to live. And ultimately, the best thing they can do is just hide away here, and it seems like the Flock is now barreling down on full completion.
Wow, yeah, this is a great showing from the Flock. They still got to work with against 4, but I expect the Moths to get back up in this one. They have that ultimate economy in favor, but Indra taking them out? Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, this Tracer is the gift that keeps on giving. Now a sound barrier from Izuya. They see the finish line in sight. They want to be able to just get a full completion. Grimlock with this overclock tried to get a pick. Unfortunately, there's just nothing to be had. Now this nano boost going out onto Dax is going to be woken up from that sleep dart rather quickly here, as Indra is still going to work on this Tracer, doing any and everything you could ever ask for. Just looking for more and more here. A recall in the wrong place at the wrong time as Eventual almost caught Indra with just open arms there. Now it's going to be the Tracer duel won by who could have guessed it. It's Indra in the spawn doors, is not safe enough. It's going to be 3K, almost recalls into the old pulse bomb. That would have been an embarrassment and a half. The Diva's just going to have to die on bot here to try to prevent the full cap from coming through, but now the Moths are still struggling to get anybody out to this card. 2 meters left to go here. A pulse bomb ends up going wide from Ventual. 1 meter left. It's barely anything to hold on to here. The nano boost is coming through onto Nixo, trying to wrap this one up, and it will be wrapped up by nobody touching. And the Flocks have decided that they're not done yet. We're going to game 5.
Wow, very, very unexpected for the side of the Flock. I was thinking that the Moths were definitely going to push the Flock back here. I expected up on how this one went by far. But yeah, we're here once again, Mega. Hopefully we don't got to wait too long, right? I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore.
I know what to say. I know what to say, is that both teams tied to a piece here, an intense matchup, because they now know potentially what they're fighting for and who they'll be fighting against. The winner here gets to go on to face 0907, as that match has wrapped up from our B stream in a 3-1 fashion for 0907. So knowing that this tournament is on the line here, lots of things to fight for between these squads, but we got to give some time to cool down, settle everything, and set it all up for one final match between these 2 teams. So don't go anywhere. You do not want to miss the other side of this matchup. Two teams locked in battle, a trip to the grand finals on the line. It's been a back and forth affair, and there's no other way that those can end except for map number 5. I am Megalas. I've got Nia with me. We've been through it. The Flock, Moths, you know the deal. You know what we're up against here. Two teams both determined to get themselves into that grand finals.
Yeah, and looking back at the start of the series, I kind of did say that it was going to be a little 50-50, a little back and forth, and my bad for saying a little unexpected, but the Flock are definitely fighting here. They want to prove to this Moth side that they can get into that next round and set themselves a hierarchy. But yeah, Moths and the Flock, Mega. I mean, this has just been very, very intriguing to watch. Something that we didn't expect was that high pressure gameplay from the Flock there, but a great choice of map pick. Actually coming up in from the other side, it's going to be Dorado. So we got a little bit of a Dorito action happening. I love calling it Dorito because the little pyramid, big pyramid.
Yeah, and so now, you know, wherever we end up on Dorado, it's normally dive as the name of the game here. There's no way to fully ban the dive here, but we'll have to see what Moths are thinking about in terms of dealing with it. Their first ban up here, I would not be surprised. It's actually going to be onto the Ashe. I was going to say Diva, but no, they've opted into removing that member of the Deadlock game.
Yeah. Very, very good. Taking out Ashe here. That's going to be changing up that poke situation. But looking at Flock here, they're going to be banning the Hazard. So no need to worry. It's a little questionable. If it's a dive scenario map, is Hazard going to get picked? I think Hazard can dive, right? You go in. But I don't know. I don't know if this is good for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting ban to be sure. I mean, the only people who've played Hazard is the Flock, if we think back to Midtown. But, you know, I think ultimately, at the end of the day, that ban just comes through to show that no other ban really is necessary right now, right? If we're going to see a rematch of this Diva style that we saw in Esperanza, I mean, the Flock looked dominant on it, especially when they allowed Indra all of the space in the world. Just that Tracer being able to take over the lobby in such an aggressive way. That you love to see here. It really was just unrivaled. So Moths now has to find some level of bounce back here. Potentially removing Ashe is going to just force that Tracer 24/7. So maybe that could be some sort of weakness, maybe showing that you're ready to deal with the Tracer.
Yeah, it could happen. And, you know, very, very soon, we're going to be able to get to see what these two teams are going to be running out with. And I get to see a Winston there. So Winston action coming up in for Hitori up on the side of Moths. And I gotta say, they're working well with that nice backline of Ana and Brig, but as well Grimlock and Dax. A little bit of a switch up, a little bit of a flex roll happening. So Dax up on DPS. Very, very nice. But yeah, if you're the Flock here, you're going to be running out with Celix up onto the Diva. I think they found their nice situation of putting Celix up into this one. I feel like if your Swine's up in that first map, it really wasn't clicking, right? So you needed to sit out. And I feel like Celix has been filling this spot very, very well. And maybe Celix could put up this great fight that the Flock need.
We'll have to see how that fight ends up going, as also on the other side, Hitori, a new tank in for the side of Moths. Playing that Winston, like you were talking about, can be a difference maker. Both teams now pretty much a mirror comp besides these tanks, realizing the Widow was not going to get much value outside of a spawn shot or two. Now is just Hitori playing this classic little high ground angle right here. But Dax actually is going to find that kill onto Indra here. So, you know, impressive move here, especially when you're switching one of your tanks over to the DPS line. It can be that difference maker if just people being flexible across multiple roles. So now this cart is going to start moving as Moths have to retreat. Or the Flock, wait. No, it's the Flock attacking, Moths are the ones retreating. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, one or two, right? Hitori, though, putting up this great pressure, taking the focus up on that back line, right? This is great from Hattori, but look at Moths. You are getting shredded by Nixo. And, yeah, the Flock really still pushing this one. I gotta say, Mega, if you are the Flock here, you got an ultimate up on board, and oh my god.
I was gonna say, don't even need the ultimate as Nixo ends up with 3 on the fight. Just absolutely crazy. Blink and you miss it, and that should be point A.
Yeah, should be. Hopefully it is for the Flock. They need this as much as they can. They need momentum heading up into any point sector here up on Dorado to have a chance against the Moths. But they proved very, very well, showing up on what they did up on Esperanza. They dominated that. Maybe they could dominate this, but Moths coming back. Hattori almost with this primal that could be bumped. But looking at it here, Mega, maybe Juno could put the Nano up onto Hattori whenever they primal.
Yeah, we'll have to see when that Nano Boost chooses to be applied for both of these autos, right? They're probably going to go on to tanks, barring some sort of Nano Overclock combination here. Now it's going to be Hattori trying to see if he can she can demech the D.Va, and is able to do it, force the bomb out here, but being able to re-enter that mech safely for the time being. So now the primal has been forced with not much other value, but it's okay, because Dax is putting Indra in their place. That Tracer duel is starting to go one side and one side only here. Nixo willing to turn it up though, gets one onto Grimlock, making a 4v4 situation now with a Nano Winston though onto the backline. Already claimed one onto Izuya, looking for the Ana, but a Sleep Dart is going to be the thing preventing that. And so now it seems like the defense has stabilized, at least for the time being, with attackers regrouping.
So Moths here sitting at 2 up in their ultimate economy. Pulse does get launched, doesn't hit anything if you are Indra, but Juno able to get the pick up on the Nixo. So taking out the Soldier, you don't got to worry about anything, but a little bit of trades happening.
Yeah, both these Anas getting aggressive, removing people from the fight. Is a 4v4 situation, as now we have a Nano Boost onto Celex here, trying to see if they can burst down this Winston. Hattori is still alive, managed to get back up to the high ground here, where both an Ana and Brig were waiting, so Hattori nice and healthy for the time being. Celex trying to turn themselves to other targets here, sees a Sojourn in main, but again, the healing is there. This backline for the side of Moths just doing any and everything that they need to. A Primal Rage now being expended for Hattori, trying to see if they can get any kills out of it. You have this Sojourn being tossed around, but there's a break in the room, keeping that Sojourn alive. We've now traded once again here. Dax again removes Indra from the fight, but Hattori maybe a little too deep. Thought that there was an Nano Boost online when there just wasn't. Izuya now with the help of the rally getting into the fight here, and Flocks are pushing towards the end of point B.
Dang, so the Vlog doing what they can do up on that main support role, but something to look forward to is Nyx with their ults, right? That could be some devastational damage up on the side of the Moths, but look at Grim, which Grim could hit some nasty headshots, some nasty crits. It should be a battle of the Sojourns here if I were to predict anything.
We'll have to see here is now into point C, trying to see who can control this high ground. One to control the high ground, can control them all, some say. Now it is just going to be Celex again popping their head up on this D.Va, trying to see what can be found. Hattori holding it very staunchly, trying not to waste that barrier, but see, it has to be invested there just to try to stay alive for the time being. Going to be able to jump out to safety. Now with a Nano Boost waiting in the wings for both of these tanks, you're probably going to see the aggression increase tenfold. The overclock burst comes out from Grim, who has to slide to get back up onto high ground under pressure from this D.Va. The Nano Boost comes out first onto Celex here. It will find one onto Grimlock, now looking for the break in the backline here, but a beautiful biotic nade going to be able to keep the break here for the time being, along with a Nano Boost onto Winston. And again, I feel like while we haven't seen it, Dax has really found Indra's number here, which has been a phenomenal stopping force in the Flock here. But this Primal now looking for a little bit more, gets one onto Izuya, and it's going to be, again, just the attackers having this soft reset for the time.
Yeah, so Flock need to back up here. They're getting controlled by the Moths as by far, but you're looking at the Moths, which have Pulse Bomb and Rally ready to go. Let's get popped, but you're looking at the Flock, right? So you got this Sojourn and Indra's Pulse not hitting anyone. Very, very close to, though.
very, very close. We'll have to see. This overclock does a lot, though. Nixo in the right place at the right time, even being caught with a biotic grenade, still removes Hitori from the fight. Now, the Flock looking for a bit more, but it's actually going to be Dax. Finds both kills onto the support line here. Absolutely massive to remove them from the fight. Indra finally gets one onto Dax, but after it's just too little too late.
Yeah, very, very. And now you're looking at the Flock, which are still a bit struggling. They are getting held by the Moths side, and if you're looking at the Moths, though, they really don't have an ultimate just yet. But if you maybe you can aggress with that rally. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but that anti-stun, though. Oh my god.
Like you said, you can aggress with the rally, but when you get anti-nated, that's just not an option anymore. But that small corridor has become a corridor of death with Nixo, Kai, Zelix, everybody on the squad willing to help out to get that team kill.
Did you see, like, the nasty sleep dart? Like, it was like a 360 flick back forward. That was insane. So, yeah, the Flock, though, they have 1:07 to cap this one. They're pushing it to that final. Kai, though, ready to go with their nano. This could be placed up on anyone. Maybe Zelix, and yes.
Yeah, and so now with the nano boost again onto both tanks here, both looking for an elimination. Grimlock will be the first one to fall. Hitori looking for something over on the cart with this jumping around, but unfortunately it seems like nothing's going to come of this primal rage, and so now it is just a Winston and an Ana trying to stay alive for dear life here. The Winston can only do so much. The bomb on top of the cart is going to be the exclamation point on top of this fight, and the Flock have finished with some time in the bank.
Yeah, the Flock executing the Moths here. And, yeah, I mean, if you're the Flock, what you need is a bug trap, right? Just have the Moths fly to that line, and get zapped. But, yeah, if you're the Moths here, Hitori was running the Winston, so more of the zapping action happening from Hitori. But, yeah, good pace of, plays from Hitori in the Moths. I like what they did. Swapping the roles, Dax heading over to the DPS, Hitori now up on the tank, changes everything completely. But now we have Moths running it out here. Grimlock's going to be up on the Sojourn, Dax is going to be up on the Tracer. So a little bit of the same thing happening here, Mega, up on the side of the Moths. I really don't expect them to change anything, but you're looking at the Flock, which just walked out. They are defending, and Zelix is going to be playing the Diva. So, yeah, everything to me is at least looking the same, but yeah, definitely should still be intriguing to watch.
Intriguing, captivating, whichever words you want to use. The Moths, who came into this the favorites, now find themselves behind the 8-ball, a tall task ahead of them just to ensure extra rounds. They have to full complete the map here if they want to stand any chance of heading to that final here. Hitori jumping up on the Winston to start this one out. A little bit of poke. Now a teleporter as well, trying to reposition this backline, get them where they need to be. And it's going to be set up beautifully on that high ground. But now we are seeing Hitori just contesting the Diva here for the time being in a very similar approach. Now that the backline is here, though, you see Hitori ready to go get aggressive here. Has to jump out because of the anti-nade. Beautiful connect from Kai here, and Jazzy's going to be the first one to fall. Now Nixo has to be a little bit careful that Sojourn has an angle up onto this rooftop, but Hitori will find one onto Indra here, and this on is trying to keep Hitori alive at all costs, but an anti is going to make that impossible. And it will be curtains for that attack.
So, Flock are controlling at the moment, just trying to set the pace up on top against the Moths, which are playing this low ground. If you are Hitori, though, you need to pressure this DPS line or the back line as much as possible to take more pressure up onto the side of the Flock. You can't have the Flock control you here, especially when you have Kai playing up on the Ana. We know what Kai could do, especially positioning those nanos up onto Zelix, but Zuya getting Hitori. This is a great pick from Zuya.
Absolutely amazing pick if you are the Flock here. And now with another one on to Dax, you're seeing the attackers again. They have to form a bit of a reset here before we can get ready for the next fight.
Yeah, so the Flock still looking very good here. They're just trying to get something out of this. They have ultimates, right? Nano, Sojourn, and 3 others that are trying to build up. But Hittori could pop this Primal any minute now. And yeah, we do get to see that.
Yeah, the Primal Rage comes out here trying to find it onto the Ana, and it will be able to convert into a kill. They are traded out, though, but it is still a numbers advantage right now for Moths. They want to be able to win this one out right here and now, but Grimlock going down re-evens the fight up, and a rally investment from Mizuya ends up doing nothing. It's Jazzy more than happy to swing that mace the other way here. Diva Bomb now having to be committed from Celex, trying to keep this one in contesting for the defense here. With a healthy mech, they should be able to do that for the time being. And now with Dax removed as well, things are going from bad to worse as the attackers, even with the Nano Winston, are probably looking at another reset.
Yeah, so if you are the Flock, you are doing a great job against this side of the Moths. And yeah, I like how they did their stuff with their ultimates, but very, very unfortunate that Izuya did get taken out of that one. I could have seen a little more potential happening there if that would have been a little more positive, but it went a little negative. But you have Nixo, which has his ultimate, which could just be popped with the pressure of Kai popping a anti up onto the side of the Moths. But, you know, we'll wait and see what happens, because if you're the Moths here, you got ultimates too. Grimlock ready to go, Jazzy, you got stuff to work with.
You have things to work with, but now we'll have to see what can be done as time is starting to dwindle. The Moths need to make point A happen sooner rather than later to keep their hopes alive. Bit of a contest on the cart coming out from Celex, who managed to find one onto Dax, and now an overclock being committed from Nixo as well. Already found one victim, looking for a second onto this Winston, and now it is less than 20 seconds left for Moths to try to cobble something together.
Yeah, Flock, you're getting very, very nasty with it. Celex able to find multiple picks there, and if you're the Moths here, you are struggling against the Flock. And look at this little position from Hittori. Still ready to go Primal, and Primal was popped. Will it hit the factors that they need? Yes. Taking Celex out is so huge.
He comes in as well to get one on to Nixo. Absolutely massive. This Ana under pressure now. The payload rolling forward, and when the team needed a hero most, Moths, Hittori stepped up. Grimlock also invested the overclock there, but it was more of a celebration to finally get through this first point.
Yeah, and a wonderful play coming out from Hittori there with that Primal. What it looked like here, Mako, was the Flock was going to take that one, but with Hittori getting to pick up onto Celex there, and Celex not able to get back up, that changed the tides of every little thing possible here up into this one. But Indra able to get up onto Juno here. Very, very good from Indra.
Yeah, and so that's a beautiful first pick for the defense to finally start to re-stabilize here. You see the attackers tried to disengage, but Jazzy was simply just not afforded an opportunity that well to run for the hills. Now Indra just going to simply regroup with the rest of the squad here and look into this next fight, trying to see what can be done. Celex getting a little bit aggressive here, but does get one onto Dax. I mean, this defense is truly holding strong.
Yeah, defense is doing an immaculate job by far. Indra is focusing out those main supports, the flex supports. Every little thing possible that Indra needs to do is there to answer. But the Flock are sitting at a great ultimate economy, though. Celex is anti here. Could be a little bad factor, but gets repositioned.
Yeah, and so now that attempt to get onto the high ground from Hittori is negated for the time being. Meanwhile, you have both Juno and Jazzy taking this high ground, and Nano Boost onto the break here. It's going to be dueling rallies, but one has a Nano, one does not. Instead, though, it's having to fully invest this Nano into trying to keep the Nano Diva off of the rest of the backline. It will be successful, but it's pretty much a negation one way or the other here. Now, Dax's Pulse Bomb ends up going out, doesn't connect on anybody. Hittori incredibly low somewhere, having to hide for the time being, but finally that Ana can heal as Celex is now on the cart, trying to do what they can. Nixo has the overclock lined up, ready to go here if they can get a good positioning on the high ground. We'll have to see how safe they feel up there. Indra simply blinking through, being a bit of a distraction in the backline right now, has not found any kills just yet. We're in this constant 5v5. Neither team wants to give an inch in this matchup. You're seeing the Tracer contest the cart as we are dwindling down to our last 15 seconds here, unless we can get another extension. And Grimlock opens it up with a beautiful pick onto Nixo, looking for a little bit more, but it's traded out on the other side. Indra kills Jazzy Jazzy out of the fight. A beautiful anti, though, connects onto both supports. Izuya first to fall, Kai right after the fact here. Now the Diva Bomb being committed. The Tracer trying to stall so the Diva can get back in mech, and they will be able to. So now Nixo back in the fight with a OC to boot. They already found one Jazzy here on the Lucio, but I think Jazzy and the Tracer are all that's left, trying to turn tides right now, and they're doing it as best they can. And anti onto the Lucio. 1 HP is Jazzy. Dax slept up. This Ana can't do more. Kai doing everything they can, and they actually are able to clean it up. The Flock is moving on to your grand finals.
Wow, and what a win here from the Flock, taking down a 4-0 record. Stanzer up in the regular season, heading up into the midseason, and taking on the Flock here. A wonderful series that we just got to watch. A little bit of a longer series, though, for me and you at least. But, yeah, so much things to look at here up on this Dorado. Hitori was a player to definitely watch out of that one. It was great up on what Hitori did there to get that point capture to head up into the second, because we don't get to see that all the time, especially like Primal up on the outer skirts, hits the Diva. Diva can't get back up because the boosters aren't there. It was just so good to re-engage from them. But Moss, unfortunately, you guys will be out of this one. But the Flock, they're going to be moving on here with a great win and more momentum heading forth for them. And yeah, just really great. Congratulations.
Yes, indeed. And while we could sing the Flock's praises all day long, I'm sure they can do a much better job of it themselves. So if you'll bear with us, we're going to get an interview set up with somebody from the Flock. Not sure who yet, but once we do, we will be back with them to chat. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Right. Thank you for bearing with us. We went, like we said, got an interview candidate all set up. We have our lovely tank star from the side of the Flock here. Calix, first things first, I'd like to say congrats on the win.
What?
Congrats on the win. Good job.
Thank you.
Victory.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And just to start things off here, you come with like a pretty even record in the regular season, 2-2, but now you're taking down these really strong teams. How does it feel?
It's really good because we played against like really good players, so VCS players like Hitori, like and it's, I don't know, it's some best feeling.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you definitely performed very, very well today. Definitely pat yourself up on the back. This definitely must have been challenging for you, but heading up into that last map here, was it a little difficult up in the communication terms whenever Hattori did that phenomenal play that happened?
You're talking about like primal play when I just drop off the map, or what?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Nixo just calling, guys, monkey stand on top, Galaxy, you can dive and kill him. And I just didn't know just someone can stay here, and I just dive and this guy just dropped me off. I just,
Yeah,
it was really funny.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, listen, silly plays like that happen to the best of us here. But now looking forward into the next matchup, you're in the grand finals for midseason, up against 0907. It's gonna be another tough match, but do you think you guys have it in you to take the win?
Yeah. Wait, what I think about our match with 0907 or what?
The finals match, the one that comes after this.
Yeah. Just, I think it's gonna be much harder.
Much harder? Hey, listen, that's fair. More than fair.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you'd like to ask?
I don't know. I mean, all I got to see was great performance from the Flocks today. Your team definitely flied, and your wings weren't clipped. But yeah. Do you have any shout outs to say here?
I think no.
No. Okay.
Well, pretty
humble.
Thank
you. What?
Oh no, just saying, pretty humble, pretty simple. You'll love to see it. Well, thank you for your time. We'll let you go celebrate with your team, and I'm sure we'll see you later on in the weekend for whenever that finals match comes up.
Oh, thank you. We'll see.
We will see indeed. And that's just another match done and dusted here now.
Yeah. What a performance from both of the teams. As I said, we were here a little longer than expected. We do apologize. We had some mistakes in the intro of the stream, but technical difficulties happen. But yeah, Mega, you're looking at the Flock here, which just had a phenomenal win against the Moths. It looked very interesting heading up into that first map of the series, but stuff definitely changed pace, and we got to see the Flock shoot their way back against the Moths there up into that last map. And looking at it, as you did get to say, 0907 will be moving up on. They did take up on the Bum FC, and looking at Bum FC though, they have phenomenal players like Golden Pants to play tank. Like, oh my goodness, nasty stuff. I know me and Gio got to see a nasty ball out of them, but yeah, very, very good stuff. But later in today's matches, we have Cuddle Puddle and Death Blossom for our North American scene, which, Mega, I believe you will be casting, if I'm correct.
That sounds like something that's going to happen, yes, indeed. But that is on the NA side of things. Of course, these broadcasts are lovely, the mid-season tournaments. They're the gift that keeps on giving, it seems. I'd like to give a huge shout out, of course, to Echo, and then I think we had Mara doing our observing work as well. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be able to be here yapping over these matches and stuff like that. But with all that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. If you want to stay up until NA time, great. If not, we'll probably see you tomorrow for more EU action. And until next time, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye, everyone.